way to start the day. Welcome back to Guildford, Mr. Posen.
Yes. Good to be back.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
I must admit, it's a slightly postponed version of this. We were due to catch up with Ariel right at the start of his tour, but we were all ill and we didn't want to pass on the lurg. What wouldn't that be? Have you ever had to do a tour lurged?
Well, the last time that means sick, right?
Yes, sorry, sick, yes.
The last time I saw you, which was 2 years ago here, we went to Europe. Actually, the next day, our last show was in Guildford, and we went to the Netherlands and played 5 shows in a row. And my bass player Julian was sick that time, and we were just like in close quarters, and I caught whatever he had. And by the 5th show, I had to change. I was losing my voice, and I was changing the keys to songs. And if we had to do one more, I would have had to cancel. And thankfully, we just had a day off and slept all day. So that was like, I still have PTSD from that. So I appreciated that you gave me a heads up and said, hey, we're all lurged. Come back another time. And
I can't imagine what a mind mess. Because if you're doing open tuning stuff and all of a sudden you're going, you know what, I don't think I can sing it in this key tonight. We need to go to this key. Do you just tune the guitar down a step and it's played all the same, or would you literally go, okay guys, tonight we've got to play this in, B, because I can't hit, and then all of a sudden you're like, ah!
No, transposing is actually not the issue. Hope this doesn't come off the wrong. Like the playing part, while kind of sick, is fine. It's all the singing that's the issue. And I know what you're talking about is like changing the key for singing. Transposing is actually okay. That's fine. It's actually just the singing that takes me. I get the most worried about losing the voice. I think I've been on tour millions of times, sick as a dog, and I can, I can just power through. But singing is a different thing.
I think we've had stories of Pete, and I can't remember if it was Pete himself or one of the other band that's literally running off the set, in between songs, just to basically,
someone got a bucket.
Empty the bowels, and then back on for the next. I mean, it's just like, can you imagine, backstage at that kind of show? Oh, just
hoping the sink is close enough to the toilet when you're on it. You know what I mean?
Welcome back, and
thanks, man.
We're going to talk about, I guess, what changes over the last couple of years. Every time I see you, something's changed on the board. In fact, quite a bit has changed on the board, although the guitar feels familiar, although I don't know if that's just because I've seen it in so many YouTube videos. So tell me, what's, musically, what's new albums, new toys to make the music?
Yeah, well, put out our new record last year, a year ago. Yeah. So this year has kind of been writing. Has been writing and kind of an off year for releasing. So going back into the studio next month to start the next record, which is super exciting. We've just been touring a lot, so. Is
this your own studio now in Montreal, or are you just using someone else's?
I still go to real studios, but I do have a studio.
Old-fashioned.
I'm old school like that. But I do have a studio space at home where I do a lot of recording. But when I do like a proper record, I just like to go and do the thing.
Obviously, I can understand technically why using a big, because the gear's maybe better, the crew are experienced. But is there another? Does it like mentally take you to a higher place?
That's what it is. Right. It's honestly not even the gear, because we live in a time now where you could plug into an Apollo Twin, use a neural DSP or a UA plugin or a Sound Toys, or like there's so much technology now that you can make anything that's kind of shit sound great.
Yeah,
I'm serious. So it's actually, sometimes you're limited when you go to a studio because like you're waiting, it's not as efficient. It's like, why isn't this working? Or why isn't the tape machine working? Yes, there's like a vibe to like having the great gear and the outboard gear and like running everything through a great console. But it's just it's the atmosphere, and it's like the mental thing, like you said. That's really why. And getting everyone together in a space, not doing it remotely, doing it for real. That's how I've always done records, and that's how I associate it.
I always liked that. I'd always assumed that all great musicians vibed off of that sense of, right, we're all in it together, and I know not necessarily everything's like a live take, but there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
But then I can't remember, it might have been Tim Pierce that we were talking to, who would go, actually, he never really recorded like that. It always felt like he was just going in to do his bit.
Do overdubs.
And so actually remotely has worked really well for him, because he just basically can do it from home now. But do you like the vibe of with the other musicians? Is that?
Yeah, I should say that we're not doing everything live off the floor. We'll do bass and drums kind of live, and I'll play along and sing along so they have something to play to. But I typically redo all the guitars, all the vocals, because like we're using all the inputs on drums and bass. Let's use all those inputs for guitars after, and you just want to be fully focused on each thing at a time. So I'm not doing live off the floor, I should say that, but at least just having everyone there like collaboratively to like.
Do songs change in that environment? Do they? So you start off with an idea of what it should sound like, but just the nature of the vibe in the studio changes the final.
So when I write a song, I like demo it.
Yeah.
I come up with an arrangement, I record it, so I send it to the guys and go, and the producers is where it's at. Let's do it better. You do you guys. This is a suggestion. Do it the right way.
Yeah.
And then when we get there, and when we do pre-production, which means just like going through each song, can we trim this? Can we make this stronger? Things change there. So by the time, the goal is that when you get to the studio, you've already done that work. But things happen. In the studio, someone does something maybe by accident, or they have some kind of instinct. It's like, what was that? Maybe let's do that, So that kind of stuff happens. I love that.
Yeah.
It's important.
What are you with solos? Are you you like the first take and that's the one, or are you just like, I might do this 25 times to get the one that I want?
I think I've learned now by doing this a long time that the first one is the best.
Yeah.
And when I'm on the 25th one, I'm realizing the other 24 is just trying to replicate the first one. But the first one might have a bunch of mistakes. So it's like, it's more of the instinct or like the vibe I was going for is the right. And often on demos, if I did a solo, one take that I don't think about, it's called demoitis, like when you get stuck to your original. I kind of lean toward, like if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of what I go with. So I really believe in the first instinct, but it has to be like a decent enough performance. So I kind of hate solos for that reason. When you get too caught up in it and you get, like, if you're doing more than 10, it's like, okay, what are we even chasing now at this point? If you're trying to just like literally go for a note that you're not getting right every time, that's one thing. But if it's to find the idea, then I tend to get lost and just like, what am I even doing anymore?
Are you kind of conscious, and do you lean into it, or does it annoy you that most of your audience, and I don't, I just mean, almost they're all waiting for the guitar solo in every song. And it's the same for, a
lot of people.
So many of your sort of peers and contemporaries, if you like, that are known for being great guitar players. It's almost like that. It's like fast forward. There's the solo. I'm not. But do you sort of accept that? Does it annoy you? What's the?
I've had this conversation many times with people, and like, I'm a song guy for sure, and I want people to like think big picture with the song. But at the same time, I'm a guitar player, and I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here sitting with you guys if it wasn't just for guitar. So I found that all these people that are skipping. I was with the Mick and Dan. We were talking about the same thing.
Oh, okay.
We were saying someone should make a record called "Skip to the Solo."
Yeah, we share the same researcher.
But you know what I mean? All these people that, sure, they're there for the guitar. They're still buying the records and they'll listen to it. They'll still come to a show. And that's enough for me. Like, if there's something with it, within the art, so to speak, that's connecting with you, if it's the guitar stuff, all I say is thank you. If you're still here, then thanks.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me too much.
I should absolutely say, if you've, if you've ever listened to any of Ariel's stuff, I remember the first solo album you put out, or certainly the first one that I'd heard of yours, and I remember us having the conversation with me going, so who did you get to sing on it then? Because it's like this incredible vocalist, and you're like, no, I'm the one singing. So it's like that there is so much more to your music than just the guitar solo. But I kind of feel like, if you're going to put a record out, or if Chris Buck is going to put a record out, or those kind of guys, a lot of the audience is going, well, I only really know you as this guitar dude off YouTube. So,
that's
find
fine.
me the solo.
It's fine. Yeah, I sing. I do. And I write songs, but like the guitar is just as much, if not the same way of expression. So like whatever connects with people more, that's fine. I'm not here to like tell anyone how to listen to the music or like what to get out of it. So I'm cool. It's good.
So let's talk about gear, but
Okay.
the first bit of gear that I want to talk about, because I'm interested as to whether it's still kind of a core part of your armory or if it's, you know, using it a bit less now, is the slide. Is that still your sort of go-to kind of incorporating that into most songs, or less so now? Or?
No, it's still, I'd really say it's like 50-50 or 60-40. If you come to a show or if you come to, or you listen to the records, it's just like an embellishment tool. It is a big part of me, but I wouldn't say it's all that I do. But it is a big part. So yeah. It's still there.
It feels to me, I mean, I know, you know, you've been amazing, playing amazing slide guitar for years and years, but it feels like there's been an emergence in the last year or so, maybe a year or so, of just more people using a slide. Maybe it's a YouTube, Instagram thing. You know, I saw some dude do a version of an AC/DC track all on slide guitar.
Oh, really?
And it was brilliant. Like, just because it was like you haven't heard the song. You know, you've heard a million guitar players do their version of an AC/DC song not using a slide.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's almost like that's opening up a whole new...
Maybe. I mean, the reason I've always gravitated to it, because it's like, what's different? And I'll say the same for any other slide player too. It's like, if there's a million people playing something one way, hey, this separates us a little and puts us in a different boat. We're all saying the same thing, but you say it differently. So I don't know if there's been a resurgence. That's cool if there is. I've been doing the same shit as always. So mix of both, you know.
I mean, I think it gives... I suppose it's like, you talk about people perhaps, you know, where they have a recognizable vibrato, and slide almost takes it to that next level. It's just like everything's moving all the time, so you really get to put your sort of personality on
you
licks.
really get in between all the notes, and it's so much more than the vibrato even.
Yeah.
Vibrato's a good indicator of like identification, but yeah, it's how you slither in and out.
Yeah.
How like there's a lot of people that, you know, tend to be a bit more like bluesy with it, which is cool. You can kind of hear where people's influences are. Oh, you're a Dwayne person or a Derek or a whatever. And some people, like, I think of it more as like not as a blues thing, more of just a embellisher, like just all melody. How can I just make it more, I don't know, just vocal and not necessarily associated to a genre, but just could be anything.
You still making your signature slide with? I can't remember who the bloody company is now. Who's
The Rock Slide.
Rock Slide. That's right. Do you
guys still sell it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I still think yours is quite unique. You don't often see this sort of bullnose style.
Yeah.
Let's go close to camera on here. So it's pretty thin and lightweight. So I'm guessing it's not a big weight on your. What do you play on the third
Pinky.
finger?
It's meant for pinky, but I've seen people use it on the ring. If you have like really small fingers, it'll fit on.
I feel like if I had several of these and I drew a little face on, I could do like a sort of, you know, Roman gladiator, like sort of. Anyway.
Please do that.
Yeah, so that's cool. Anyway, that you can buy if you so wish. But okay, let's go on to this magnificent looking blue Strat that I've seen you using a lot.
Yeah, this is actually really new for me. It's a custom shop, and I don't know if anyone has. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have seen it, but I have this blue Jazzmaster that I've had for a few years. Carlos Lopez, when he was still working there, who's now Casadosa, built it for me. It's like such a great guitar, and I really love Jazzmasters, but I've always kind of been a Strat kind of guy, and I still play that Mule a lot on the road. It's in wherever my gig bag is.
That's the aluminium one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a Strat version of that Jazzmaster. So like the color is the same, the neck is the same, like this roasted maple thing, and I love the two volume tone in the pickup switch here on a Strat. It's similarly to the Mule.
How do you? Are you changing pickups less than say someone that might be, you know? Or are you just happy to have it down here?
No, that's just my happy, like where my subconscious, I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of like, swelling stuff. So these Harmony cupcake knobs
they
are
look great, don't they?
They look cool, but they also have a really good grip. That's why I like it. and it just feels good to me. And this is a P90.
Yeah.
Tim Shaw from Fender did these pickups. It's a P90 here, which I've kind of hated P90s the last year, but I'm coming back around. I really I'm liking them again.
Yeah.
And this looks like a P90, but it's my Jazz Master neck pickup.
Right,
Just
just in a
exact
P90
spec.
casing.
Yeah. So, you know, it got... There's
There's a big distance between the two pickups as well, isn't there? So I imagine you're getting a big separation in terms of how bright the bridge one is and how fat and warm the...
Yeah. I mean, if I just go, this is just clean. I find it's a good balance, and the middle pickup. I don't know. I know people will say, like, why don't you just play like a telly, man? I just don't.
Yeah, why don't you just play like a telly?
Ergonomically, it never felt as great as a Strat, and I felt limited by. I love how a telly sounds. It has a place, obviously. Yeah. It's probably the most iconic, best guitar you could play, but this is just what resonates for me is like the 2 pickup on a Strat, a bit more muscle than the single coil. And I love the traditional setup too, but this is just kind of
it's interesting as well because you're obviously not playing in a standard-y tuning. You down to a B on that?
This is just D flat standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think that extra low end that comes out from going down there suits the clarity that a single coil or a P90 will give.
True, but even just single coil, standard tuning, you get the
meatiness.
There's that meatiness still with both, where it sounds really bright but warm, like that happy medium of both on the EQ spectrum, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's kind of cool. What I also like about it is it's sort of instantly recognizably something that you've done.
Yeah.
Whereas, it's not just a Strat, is it? It's the one that you've put together.
Yeah, it feels different. I like it.
You're stringing through the body on there rather than...
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Okay, so it's...
Yeah, hardtail.
Yeah.
Love a good... I don't want to say it, but...
I know what you're going
there. But, I just don't find I use it these days. So it wasn't...
It's a pretty looking guitar. So you're using a mixture of that, still using the Jazz Master, which obviously, again, we talk about tremolos, is a sort of a... Do you use the tremolo on that, or have you sort of blocked it off?
No, not really.
Okay.
Maybe like in the studio I'll put it on, but again, I need to reiterate that live, I just bring 2 guitars with me, so I'm just limited by that. Yeah. But at home, I still play all the same stuff. I play like a lot of Collings, Josh Williams, and Frank Brothers, and Castadosa. I have a great 3511 is the model, I think.
Is that the Conchas, the 3511?
No, it looks like a Fender, I forget the model. Kind of like not a 335, it's a semi-hollow.
Oh, okay.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I do, but I don't think we've ever had one of those. We've had Conchas in both regular scale and baritone scale, and we've had a Mariana, which was probably my favorite.
Is that the telly?
Yeah, with the herringbone. We had one with this herringbone binding, which just looked amazing.
Carlos is the man.
Yeah,
shout out,
isn't he? It's just like
him and his whole family are just beauties. I wish every time we're in.
I would kind of almost every time I see that Conchas guitar, it makes me think, did he make that for you? As in because it seems to be.
Well, I did the original videos with him for it. I think we have a bond for sure. Yeah. There's we think the same. We have a lot of the same taste. I don't want to say he and I won't say that he based anything off of me. I'm sure he didn't, but we do have a thing and similar taste, and I think it's just a matter of just hearing things the same way and liking the same kind of sounds, probably. Yeah. Well,
I think it certainly suits you. Are you setting? I don't recall you ever setting your guitars up with almost like a traditional slide action. It's a relatively sort of normal.
Yeah, all my guitars you could play fingerstyle easily, but it's high enough that you can slide. And I don't have a measurement; it's different on every guitar, but it's just a feel thing.
Whatever feels right.
Yeah. Too low, and I can't I play really hard. So like when I go to NAMM or if I went to the shop next door and I played any guitar, I don't play well. Because I like a fight. So if it's too easy to play, and I don't mean easy like I can just rip fast. No, I just mean it's
some tension in
there. Some tension,
Amps wise, obviously we're plugging you into Pete's Deputy today, but you're pretty at home with anything that's sort of, is it clean with a bit of hair? Is that what your sort of general vibe is? Or
I'm always usually playing the two rocks, and which is super clean, and then I have an overdrive on at all times.
Right. So, because I'm always interested in that. Because there's two schools of that sort of Dumble-y type. One is it's just clean, whap. Just that's it. And then any sense of drive has to be introduced from a pedal. And then there's the other where actually the amp is very dynamic. So you pick softly and it's clean, and as soon as you start to push it hard, it'll go into drive. And there's examples of Two Rocks and other brands of amps that sort of do both of those. But I thought you were more into the one where you liked that sort of edge of breakup, but you want it crystal clean, do you?
Yeah, and so I want to control basically all the dynamics and all of the breakup. So if it's already breaking up a bit, then I'm already losing some dynamics.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So like if this is clean, right? Obviously there's a little bit of, how many watts is this? 40 or?
25, 30, something like that, yeah.
If I step on that, that's full volume, but 6 or 7, it's clean. With a bit of hair, where I can at least control how much. So that's just what works for me. Different for everyone. And live too. That's I tend to experiment more in the studio. I'll do anything. I'll go clean, I'll go this or any, but live I need to do it that way.
Big, powerful, clean, like it. All right. Your pedalboard has, am I right in saying, have we taken a big leap? Did you have the I forget what Dan calls it now, but the big MIDI switcher on your last board, or were you just switching
I've had a G2 for a long time, but I haven't toured with one in a long time. I've been touring a really small board that's really efficient and great.
That's right. Last time you were here, I just think it was just one row of maybe 5 pedals, and you were just stomping them on and off.
Yeah.
But of course, you've gone over to using H90, and I imagine the H90 is probably doing like a zillion different things.
You know what's funny? I've been using the H9 forever. And there's a bunch of sounds I use, and I was really excited, I think like all of us were, to finally use two sounds at once.
Yeah.
And I'm like, MIDI, setting up sounds is like my kryptonite. I'm the worst. It gets in the way, and makes me not want to play guitar. So if something's too hard to... So luckily I have a friend that helps me. And
I was about to say, so how do you... Because that's me, right? Yeah. And I'm just like... The minute I turn something on and the first thing it says is a new update is available, I'm just like, kill me now.
Yeah.
Because I now know that this 20 minutes of my life that I thought I was going to be playing guitar, I'm now going to be sitting trying to work out which USB cable plugs in where.
And then it makes you kind of not want to play.
Yes.
Exactly the same with me. So I have a
yeah, but it's like I have a friend. It's like can you find me that friend, please? Well, I remember Justin Derrico was saying he'd gone from using all of like normal backline and pedals over to Axe-Fx.
Oh yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, I can understand why. But he was like, yeah. So I spent 8 weeks with the Axe-Fx guys dialing in my sort of tones at their HQ. He's just like 8 weeks. It's just like
that's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. But so like I have a friend that helps me, but I should say like
so it's like friends with benefits, but kind of for pedal guitar players.
Like setting up the gig rig, Dan or a couple of his guys, Joe and Jake, they'll be happy to get on the phone and help me. Chase Bliss guys are so like.
Yeah.
I remember 8 years ago, Pete and I doing a video on Chase Bliss, and we started and we were like, let's do another.
Let's do a different pedal.
We didn't know what to do. But I love these so much, but they're so great at helping me figure out the sound. And then, and like the Morningstar guys are so great. Like Ben hops on the phone with me anytime in Singapore to help me. I don't have one of those on here, but
that's like another alternative to the G2.
That's what I use on the smaller board, okay. So luckily, if you have friends friends with benefits, as you said, that help you set it up. But yeah, the H90.
I'm really interested. So you have to forgive me. It's been a while since we looked at Chase Bliss because they obviously, I can't remember when, 2 or 3 years ago, decided they would only sell direct off their website. So I don't really remember what the tonal recall or the thermi do.
They're both delays.
Oh, okay. So you've basically limited maybe, but you've just got one drive pedal, but with two sort of sides to it, and so
there's two drives. I have my dual AP broadcast underneath.
So we need to see under the hood.
Yeah, we need to see under the hood.
Okay, fine. Can I see underneath?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got your broadcast. We've got is that an octave pedal? The Octaland.
Yeah, Octaland and the Mini Fuzz are both King Tone.
Yeah. But what I've seen the Fuzz before. I don't think I've seen the Octaland. So that's an octave down, is it? Or
Octafuzz, just
octave fuzz.
Exactly.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So you have got a couple more drive pedals underneath the board.
The broadcast AP2 is great because there's 2 inputs, 2 outputs, and with the switcher, it's 2 pedals in one. So really, it's like having 3 drives.
Right.
And I have the germanium side as a boost, farther in my chain, and then I have the silicon side as like an alternate overdrive closer in the chain, So
are you doing much mix and match, or is it mainly one? Okay, let's hear. So, I mean, I'm such a huge fan of kind of just stacking drive pedals and seeing what they do.
Yeah.
And obviously G2 is amazing because you can decide to have them plugged in one way round on one patch and a different way round on the other.
And I just learned that you can do all these hidden presets, so each one can give you 2 sounds if you want.
Right.
So for example, this main one, I call it OD1, is the dualist here. And while I have the boost here, which I call AP boost from the broadcast here, I can actually engage it here as well quickly. So like... That's with the broadcast.
And that's broadcast into the dualist, is it? Or the other way around? Or?
I'm not sure.
You have to ask my friend.
Ask my friend. And then OD2 is the dualist without the slap. So the slap is the tonal recall that's on. Now it's off. But if I press it again, it's then, I call it bonus, but it's the silicon version of the broadcast. Bit of a different vibe. You know what I mean? And if I hit the boost with that, this is now both sides of the broadcast AP. Yeah, it's great.
Man alive.
Great sound.
You're a very talented guitar player. I'm going to go and just spend the evening listening to Ariel Posen records after this. I know I am. Okay, so that's a great combination. Have you got a patch there with the Octafuzz in? I love a bit of Octafuzz.
Funny you ask.
Funny
of course
you
I
ask.
do.
Yes.
So I'll go back to this, but yeah, so... It's that like...
So squidgy.
I've been doing these videos of just like a stupid me playing something with a kick and snare on. So typically it does like a really good... Sorry. That kind of stanky thing, it's really great for that.
It's a wicked...
And it's dynamic. Sorry, I'm just...
I think it's interesting as well with fuzz pedals, and especially octave fuzz, when you're playing the bass notes, it's unusual, or it's quite common, I think, for fuzzes to just get mushy and difficult to discern what note you're playing.
Yeah.
You seem to be able to get great clarity right down to just playing like open E string.
Here's why. And you'll see it if you take a picture of under the board, on the fuzz and the Octaland, the gain is almost off. I think it's off all the way.
Right.
So it's just volume. So all the gain you're getting is from the overdrive itself. Once you put too much overdrive or gain on a fuzz pedal, I find, for my taste, it becomes like too saturated, too almost like high gain. And this way it sounds more like a mushroom cloud, like a bloomy kind of. We're getting into these artificial words, descriptors, but
I think this is the joy of talking to different guitar players, because I could do 3 videos, and the first guy will go, yeah, the secret sauce is having the gain all the way off. And the second guy will go, the secret sauce is everything all the way in. And as much distortion on the amp as you can possibly get.
And that's what keeps the world going. Find what works for you, you know? That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
So I'm not saying that this is the way. This is just
I almost
the
feel
Ariel
like
thing.
That kind of, what settings does he use? It's like, no, don't worry about what setting he uses. You know, this is not computer programming. These are just knobs that go up or down. Just like, find your sound.
But
find
I'll tell you
the sound that you like.
Most people think it's a bad thing, but you're gonna buy this, buy that, twist this. You're still gonna sound like you. So just like accept that, because that's actually a good thing. We need more people that just want to sound like themselves. Don't be afraid to sound like you. So it's a good thing. If you get the Stevie Ray Vaughan rig and you sound nothing like Steve, that's fine. It's you.
This Instagram clip had millions of views, so lots of people have seen this. But it was like, it starts off and there's a dude and he looks cool and he looks like a guitar player and he's got his spin. He goes, I've just found the secret to, you know, all these years I've been putting my delay pedal through the effects loop like that. And then you know what? And then somebody said, so I changed it and I put it through the front end. He said, you know what? I sounded exactly the same.
I've seen it,
And I found out what I really needed to do if I wanted to sound better was just practice more. And it was just like brutal truth.
Brutal truth.
Even I get sucked in going, how did you set the delay? Oh, damn it.
But it's good to get inspired by that. Like, let that inspire you and motivate you. But like, because you don't do the fancy this that so-and-so doesn't make you lesser. It's actually what makes you have your own identity. Like, follow through that deeper and don't let it discourage you if you don't sound like other people. That's like the whole point of making art, which is what music is, you know?
You do you, right?
You do you, baby.
Okay, so we've covered drive.
The only thing we didn't do is fuzz for
let's have a little listen then.
So this, you're talking about it getting muddy.
Yeah.
But with the slide, it's.
I don't know if you've tried these or not, but we've got the gold Alnico Celestion speaker in these cabs, and they just are fat, man.
Yeah, that's.
I think
what's the wattage on them?
50 watts.
Yeah. Nice.
So it's not the super low wattage one. It's not the super high wattage one. It's the one in
in the
middle.
sweet spot.
But it's just big. I think if you like that, and with clarity as well. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were you using the H90 then predominantly for modulation pedals? Because I see a lot of reverb and delays on there, other than but no.
Yes. So the trem. Okay, I'll just the trem is the flint. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
I press it again. I get the reverb. I can just MIDI. I can switch between them, which is great.
Yeah.
But the H990, I have 3 presets. So the first one is the Leslie. Like just.
Have you got 2 patches of different speeds and you can do the ramping up thing and down, or do you not really do that?
On all the H9s I have that Barn 3 aux. What's it called? It's like an extra expression pedal where you can control the speed. Yeah. I don't have that on here.
Right.
And honestly, when I'm on stage, it's the last thing I ever think of doing. If I press it again, I get this sound. Envelope filter, kind of.
That for me is a riff writing patch. Because you start playing that and riffs come out.
It literally wrote that song. It's a song, Heart by Heart, of mine. So it's great for that song. Mm-hmm. These are 2 delays, so like this is like an oil can delay, echo reverb style. Press it again and it does like a bigger delay.
You just played a chord there where, like, I think there were maybe 5 notes in the chord, but you had 2 notes with your first and second finger, and then 3 notes barred with the slide.
Oh.
And it was a really
That?
kind of. I just thought it's a really interesting, because you're not at that point. You're not really using the slide for slide. You're just using it to play part of a chord, but it gives it a different sound.
Kind of gives it like the pedal steel, fake pedal. Like.
So, after all going to the expense of the H90, you're basically saying you're still using one effect at a time.
Except for this patch. So
Okay.
I have a song called "I Wish That We Never Met," which is not how I feel about us, but
No, it's fine. You wouldn't be the first person to say that to me.
it's the Leslie and a harmonizer together in the key.
Yes, man!
So it lets me go like. It's really loud in here, but it can
atmospheric.
do
I
some
love it.
harmonizy shit. Yeah, and then the Chase Blisses, you're hearing the tonal recall, the slap.
Yeah. Is that almost like an all the time
It
thing?
is.
Right.
But if I press it here, I get the. And then again, back to it, just in case. And then the therme is similar. It's a pitch shifting delay, so it's an extra. It's so subtle and nuanced. It might be hard to hear it off of.
Yeah.
But the difference is this. You hear it? It's very.
It's like a slight double tracked kind of vibe, isn't it, with it on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if I press it again, it's.
Is that strictly the odd intro?
That's a song.
It's a whole song.
And that's another example of like,
Wow.
it never happens. I turned it on one day and I heard that and heard a melody.
You play that all the way through the song, do you?
Yeah. So
Wow,
my
that's
drummer
cool.
plays to that. It's pretty fun, actually.
That's cool.
Sometimes I don't nail it, but
It's a great, I mean, and just because it's there, is that just your super professional clock in the top hand corner? Just
as
to note?
always, baby, got
Yeah.
the clock on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't want to go overtime.
Half of me wishes that every guitar player would turn up for clinics with one of those, because then I'm not standing at the edge of the stage going, 10 minutes over, you got to cut it short.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
no, look, I feel like I've become substantially less angry about the fact that digital is taking over the world, and substantially more balanced about my feeling about it, and open-minded as well. What are your? I mean, clearly you've got a board there that is going to cost a regular customer probably £4,000, maybe something in the region of somewhere between £3,000 and £4,000. Yeah, so you're playing custom shop strats and you're playing into amps that are similarly 4,000 or 5,000, whatever,
Right.
And it's gear to lug around and it's dough and all that kind of stuff. But what keeps you? Do you ever just go? Should just go digital and then feed.
Yes.
Thank you.
All the time.
You do. So so what stops you doing that?
I think I'm just a little old school. I don't like being tied down to patches and like being tied down to. I feel like if I change my mind one day, I want to change. You know, there's that. Like I said, I'm old school. I like hearing the air behind me and feeling it on the back of my shins. You know, it's just what I've always done. And the biggest thing is, like, first of all, like I said, we live in this time now where digital is amazing. Like neural DSP, and I haven't really spent time with like the Helix or the Kempers or stuff like that, but it's all so good. It's never been better. However, it's not as dynamic for me as the real thing, dynamics, like, and that's the biggest thing. You know, if I'm on a pop gig or some other kind of gig that's doesn't rely on, I would do it.
You mean where the audience is going to go home and go, what do you think of the guitar player tonight? And they go, was there a guitar player?
Was there a guitar player? Exactly.
That one, yeah. Who really cares? You know, that's fine. Yeah. That's what you take, isn't it?
I mean, it makes the sound guys much happier because they can control the mix. The guitar's not too loud on stage. I will say, we're a very quiet. I'm the quietest I've ever been on stage with a guitar. We're all in in-ears now the last couple of years, and it just makes for a better mix in the audience. So yeah, there's a lot of times where I go, I really don't want to lug the. Oh God, I know.
I'm still, you know, I think if I'm not anywhere near the level of guitar player that you are, or doing the kinds of circuit that you're doing, but even just from a home use perspective, I haven't tried a speaker yet that's either in a studio monitor or in an FR cab. I haven't tried a speaker yet that gives me the cuddly blanket feeling that just a traditional old-fashioned guitar speaker through a tube amplifier gives me yet.
Let me put it this way. Everything that exists now, and this is my opinion, this is just what, and maybe I think you share it, but like everything sounds amazing now. Someone does a shootout, blindfold, guess which one's processor and which is a RAM? Very good chance we won't know. It's not about how it sounds, it's just how it feels. So it's like, what feels is keeps me still doing this way.
I'm even into, because I think that's why I was saying about how much more open-minded I've become over the last, it's like, you just have to accept that the way in which we consume music. So if I'm just going to listen to something on an MP3 through my Bluetooth radio or Sonos system in my house, it's like, I'm never going to know. It's as long as the song is good and I am inspired by the melody and the lyrics and stuff.
Yeah.
What the guitar part, it's inaudible. But there's something, I think there's still something nice about in the room. But I also think as well, it is that your thing needs a firmware update, or a firmware update is available. It just kills me every time.
Yeah.
Or here are 500 IRs. Please go through the list and choose the one that you like the best. It's like, no, I don't want to.
I use the aux a lot, which is great. I have never changed the cab on it. I've always used this. I've just turned it on.
That's what guitar players want, I think, is they want technology, but where the manufacturer has designed the user interface to just go, you're just, as soon as you switch this thing on, you're just playing. Straight away, it's like, there's the obvious, that's the choice, boom, play.
I think at the end of the day, none of it matters. Whatever you need to like feel like, hey, I'm enjoying it, I'm making music, I'm doing the thing, that's all that matters. How you do it, and like I keep saying, we're in this time now where everything's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember even 10 years ago when like the pedal scene was not even a popcorn fart, if I shall say, of what it is now.
Yeah.
Like, we look at all these things and we find ways to complain, but like, look at how many great things there are.
I tell you what is absolutely inevitably happening as well, which will change future generations, is pretty much 95% of guitar players that are under the age of 25 now have just played plugins. That's what their mum and dad gave them their first guitar, and it was like, what was the best way to get a sound? Well, I just plug into my computer interface, I download some $20 piece of software, and I get great sound. You know, so us going, I find it all a bit confusing. You know, I'm used to this. It's like those guys are probably going, I find this confusing. It's like, you know, where do I load up my dual rectifier pack? Just like,
I'll tell you what though, I wish I had that when I was starting. Like my first electric, we rented it for months and months until we just eventually paid the thing off, a cheap Ibanez or whatever, and I had an amp like this big. It was a Trainer, which is a Canadian company.
Yeah, good amps.
And but like it sounded horrible. Like it was just like a beginner little amp. first of all, computers were good enough in like the mid 90s to like where they are now, where I could plug into something and have all the sounds that I was listening to on the records that I was listening to. That didn't make sense, but you know what I mean, right? Hell yeah, I would be all over that. So it's just, it's generations. We're always going to be like, well, and this is how we did it. Are these kids now? It's all good. It's always going to evolve.
Yeah.
And whatever, however, as long as you just stay inspired and
Write
keep
good
making
songs.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, play good guitar.
Yeah, have fun.
That's all that matters.
Don't compare and just have fun.
Well, I'd love to hear you maybe play us out with something.
Sure.
Tell us, so if people want to go and probably won't get this video out in time to catch one of the final gigs in the UK, but after that, is it arielposen.com?
Yeah.
So head on over there, and you're going into a recording phase, though. You got any dates booked for 2025?
We do. They're just not announced yet, but we'll be back in the States, Canada, Europe, everywhere with new music. So yeah, last couple gigs this week, and then back into the studio. Exciting times. Yeah, come follow along if you don't already.
You should. It's chances are, if you're on YouTube a bit watching guitar channels, you'll already know all of Ariel's stuff.
And I should also say, I mean, if you follow along, I've said it many times, but also I have a lot to thank to you guys. Like all those, when I was living in Ireland and coming once every 2 months or whatever, doing videos with Pete, like I still have people that come to so many shows and say, man, you guys should do more Guitar Paradisa or whatever.
You know what, I still feel...
I'm so grateful.
Well, no, but I still feel like of all the seminal moments in the whole time I've been at Andertons, but especially since the YouTube, meeting I guess Joey first and then you through Joey and stuff have been, it's not only are you both lovely people, but I keep going back and listening to your music, just going like, I'm such an honor to even like know these guys, because it's like at a musical level, it's my favorite kind of music to listen to. So yeah, look, I mean, it's if we played a small part in paying some bills and exposing you to the wider world, then
you did.
Super happy to have done that.
Thank you so much.
Well, look, anyway, look, come on, I'm just going to sit and be I'm going to get a free gig here. I'm just going to sit and be an unpaying member of the audience whilst you play us out with anything you fancy for a minute or so. And yeah, please, everybody, round of applause for Ariel Posen.